guys. Welcome to episode 3 of Doc Talk. We're back for another week. Our contracts did get renewed this week, so we've got at least one more week to go. We've got a little bit different scenery this week. We're not at Dayton Boat Dock. We're at Philip's apartment. A little bit better internet over here, and they've got a big tournament going on at the boat dock, the ABA Ray Scott Championship. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Ray Scott.
Ray Scott Championship this week. A couple of people are going to win some boats. Going to win a lot of cash. We're going to have some guys on later tonight that are actually fishing in the tournament this week.
One name you might recognize or make fun of. Just depends on how you're feeling. We'll probably make fun of it.
John Cox will be with us tonight. Kind of breaking down what the lake's fishing like. Not going to get too in depth because they've still got 2 more days of fishing to go.
Yeah, they both qualified to fish tomorrow.
So we're going to get recap what went on with heavy hitters a little bit. Sabine River. Sorry about that little technical difficulty. Tonight's episode is going to be brought to you by American Bait Works. American Bait Works is a company that encompasses net bait, scum frog, halo fishing, snag proof, which is set to be released probably later this month, 1st of May.
Which I've seen personally.
And it looks good. New frogs look really nice. All new paint schemes, new colors coming out. Freedom Tackle and Set the Hook, which is a hand-poured plastic bait that's under the Net Bait brand. Give these companies a follow on Facebook, Instagram. They're actually doing a giveaway tonight for somebody that shares the show. We'll be doing a Freedom Tackle, Scum Frog, Net Bait giveaway box.
Oh, wow.
So somebody that shares tonight is going to get a prize pack.
It's good to know people.
All right, we're going to jump right in with the hot topic that happened last week. We're a little bit late on this. Pride of the South is a tournament series that goes on in Alabama. They have several different divisions. I've never fished any. I'm not too familiar with those guys. I think we do some sponsorship with American Bait Works for the tournament trail. They had a guy get disqualified, had the top bag, and got DQ'd because he didn't wear his life jacket while his big motor was running. Now, in the rules of this tournament series, it says life jackets when big motor is running. If you don't know that means that your life jacket's supposed to be on, please don't be driving down the road while my family's on the road.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Wear your life jacket. Use a little bit of common sense. And if you're fishing near the dam, have your life jacket on.
Yeah.
Somebody wants you to come home. I don't want to read about it on the news. We don't need that kind of publicity in the fishing world. And it was a big stink in one of the groups over there, Central Alabama Tournament Group. It's something that I followed along for a little while. But guys, if you don't know, this is your heads up. If it mentions life jackets in the rules, that means you have to have it on while the big motor is running. They even give an exception for when you're loading the boat. So use some common sense.
That's pretty much the same way with, 95% of every tournament?
95% of the rules in the tournament are standardized across ABA, MLF, FLW, or Big Five.
Well, there's even some Wildcats.
Bassmaster, Wildcats. Anything you're going to fish is going to have pretty much the same rules. You're going to have some different formats, but I can guarantee you're going to need to have your life jacket on. And from a safety standpoint, just wear it when you're fishing.
Yeah.
We've seen too many things.
Be smart, be safe.
Yeah.
Just as simple as that.
Wired to Fish has been big on this for a couple of years now. They've really pushed that. We've seen too many accidents happen. So use a little bit of common sense when you're out there, guys. All right, that's all on that topic. Next thing we're going to talk about, baits that we're starting to throw this time of year. Start stocking up on in your tackle box.
This is one thing we've discussed pretty heavily throughout the week. We almost started it last week, but we decided we would go further in depth.
And we even had some of this planned out before we saw what unfolded.
Yes.
In the past 2
I've been looking forward to this topic.
Trails.
Me and our number 1 on our list, number 1 and 2 on our list tonight. wacky rigs and methylate trick worms.
Yep. Methylate's always going to catch them in the spring. Wacky rigs, we've seen an unnamed angler win thousands of dollars on wacky rigs.
Yes.
And you're going to catch them this time of year. It's an easy bait to throw. Saw a little bit different wacky rig this past weekend with Taku Ito. I think they called it a Nico rig. To me, it really looked like a wacky rig worm. We were talking before the show. I think American Kickerfish made a similar bait a long time ago.
Yeah.
Never really took off. But you can look on Bassmaster's website and see the rig that he was throwing. Like I said, I think they called it a Nico rig.
Yes.
But it really fishes like a wacky rig. You saw that across MLF. That's how Michael called him.
Michael even lost that giant, on live the other day. But yeah, it really.
Yeah, most people were catching on a wacky rig and a frog. Frog is one of my best baits for bedding bass.
Yeah.
I caught a 7 and a 5 last year off the bed that wouldn't bite anything else but a frog.
Well, I think you had like Michael and Rojas and a couple guys in the Spro catching quite a few of their first catches of the day on the frog.
Ish was trying to catch a big one on a frog, I believe. Lee Livesey had a top 10 at the Sabine, throwing a scum frog. The same scum frog he was throwing when he went up here last year. Bassmaster actually had it listed as the Gunnersville tournament. It says the frog that he used to win on Gunnersville, but it was the Chickamauga tournament that he won that frog on. The scum frog launch frog.
That last year, that was one of my favorite frogs. And it's aptly named.
Yeah, that one sold really well, worked really well. Available this year. Comes with a 5/0 red owner hook in it. Tungsten weighted.
Very soft. Very easy to hook up. You don't really have to worry about putting trailers or stinger hooks or stuff like that on it.
Yeah, you're going to get to hook up with that one. And when you're fishing for a bedding fish, that's really nice because you're going to get one shot at that fish.
Yeah. Kind of like Ish yesterday, all day long. Spent almost 7 hours on that one fish.
That's more dedication than I have.
But it would have been worth it had it stayed hooked up. I feel for him on that one.
One that I think guys overlook, brim colored swim jigs and chatterbaits. If you grew up anywhere in Alabama, you fished the Coosa River, you threw a white swim jig. Yeah. It got made famous down there a few years ago, and that's the go-to color down there. But, and white's great. Catch a lot of fish on them, shad imitating. But brim colors can put just as many fish or more in the boat, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
I like throwing a brim color a lot. I follow behind people throwing white, throwing brim, and got bit. Green, and brim is green pumpkins, got some orange in there, some blue. Your basic green pumpkin color is what you're going after. Same thing with a chatterbait.
I'll throw it on a swim jig a lot, but a buzz bait, it's gonna be hard for me to get away from that white.
Yeah, the best buzz bait ever made was the Booger Man and that dirty shad color they had.
The original, and they're back.
The gold,
they've come back,
and they're proud of them too. But they're worth it. You're going to catch a bunch of fish on them. But that's about all I had. The brim color is something I think gets overlooked a lot. And we're not trying to hijack a bait podcast, but just wanted to hit on some of the stuff that you're really going to focus on throwing this time of year.
That'll be something. If we can ever get old Baxter on here, we'll get his take on that. We'll get the bait man's thoughts one day.
Yeah, you get the bait man, then you'll really know what to throw. Kevin knows more about baits than anybody I've ever met. In fact, if I run across something, an old bait or something, I need to know what it is. And if somebody makes a new version of that, that's my go-to source.
And I got to go back just a little bit onto that methylate trickworm, especially from Alabama. If you're fishing Coosa River in late April, the month of May entirely, and June, and you don't have at least one of those tied on, or if not two of them, just in case, you might as well just put it back on the trailer. Yeah,
that's something that you got to have tied on this time of year. And even into the summer, I grew up fishing muddy water on the Tom Bigby, and that's something that always stayed in the boat was methylate and a school bus yellow.
And I guarantee you, if the water was actually up right now to normal levels, or well, I guess it is technically normal levels, but if it wasn't fluctuating so much and water was under in certain areas right now on Chickamauga, that wacky rig would be tied on with about 3 different colors.
You'd see some guys really catching fish on that now.
I mean, look at what John Cox number 1 or 2 or however you want to look at it did up here last year before. He's got this lake's number, and he did a lot of that on the wacky rig. But that's part of it. But aside from fishing, we had the Masters last weekend on top of everything else, which was.
I did not get to watch a lot of the Masters. So this past weekend, what did we do Saturday? Oh, Saturday was a big day. Me and my wife went to Target with our 1-year-old. That's what you get to do when you have a 1-year-old home. That's a day away from the house. And then Sunday, we actually did get a Parents' Day away. My mother-in-law, my mother kept our 2 kids, and we got away, went to Southside Social, Hi-Fi Clyde's in Chattanooga.
Oh, nice.
Highly suggest both of those. Really enjoyed it.
I like Stir.
Yeah,
Stir?
we almost went to Stir. Stir, you have to have a reservation to get in right now. So
it'd be worth it.
Well, we weren't sure where we wanted to go at first, but we ended up at watched a little bit of the Masters at Clyde's.
Mm-hmm.
It was on when we got right before we left. Came home. I did get to see the end of it. Saw Hideki win. One interesting thing I saw this about the Masters, or heard, I don't know if it was Jim Nance that said it or one of the other guys. The win for Hideki could be worth up to $1 billion over his lifetime in Japan.
A lot of freaking money.
All right, quick recap of heavy hitters. I watched off and on this week, kind of kept up with it. Really just watched to see what Michael was going to do, because Michael's actually contractually obligated to do the show if he wins a tournament. We put that in when we signed our agreement to do it from the boat dock. Unfortunately, that was not the case this week. Congratulations to Alton Jones. Caught them all on a tube. Flipping a tube.
Old school. I mean, sometimes.
When was the last time a guy won a tournament flipping a tube? I grew up flipping a tube. We didn't have a beaver bait. Caught a bunch of fish on it. There's a lot of tricks you can do to it.
Mm-hmm.
We put foam earplugs in them. I put jingle bells in there. Guys have used Alka-Seltzers in tubes. Guys up north still throw them a lot for smallmouth, open hook. But the flipping tube has been overlooked for a long time. Baxter actually had a post this week or last week about a flipping tube, and a lot of guys commenting saying, you probably ought to take this down. Not everybody needs to know about this. Obviously, they still catch it.
I've had some guys come in this week asking for some tubes, which we carry a couple, but it's just not something here that you.
No, it's not something that a lot of guys throw. Usually the guys that throw them aren't going to go in a tackle store and ask for them. They're going to order them online and not tell anybody about it. Because if you go in the same tackle store all the time and you are catching a lot of fish, I can guarantee you the guy working that store is going to tell everybody what you're catching them on, because he wants to sell a lot of that bait.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Just always beware of the guy working the counter at your local tackle store. They might not have your best interest in mind. Like we said earlier, a lot of wacky rigs and heavy hitters. It's that time of year.
Yep.
Frogs played a lot more than
especially early.
Yeah, especially
early. Yeah.
We said Rojas caught him on a frog. Michael caught some on a frog. Ish threw a frog a lot. There was another guy in the top 10. Another 2 guys in the top 10. They were throwing a frog. Pretty commonplace. I think 4 or 5 out of the top 10 at Sabine were throwing a frog in some way. A lot of trick worms with that. A lot of soft plastics. A lot of spinner baits at the Sabine. I think three guys were throwing, 3 or 4 guys throwing spinner baits out of the top 10.
That stained water and the wind. And
obviously, everybody knows Christie won throwing a spinner bait, which he's known for that. Oklahoma thing. He can catch them in that muddy muddy springtime water, throwing a spinnerbait. But outside of just the winning, there were several other guys throwing a spinnerbait, which is also something that you can see this from a sales standpoint. You just don't see them sell like they used to.
Yeah.
You don't have the amount of spinnerbaits in your store that you did 15 years ago.
Unless you're Michael Neal and you're living in Chickamauga.
Well, Michael puts in what Michael
me and
likes.
spinnerbaits don't get along, so
Yeah.
that one's all him on that one.
Yeah, I've never been a big spinnerbait guy. Growing up, my tournament partner was a big spinnerbait guy. So fishing together, we always felt like we were better to let him throw the spinnerbait.
Yep.
I would crank, throw a jig or something behind him, and have two different looks instead of both of us throwing the same thing.
Yep.
So I never really got into that spinnerbait thing. It's not my favorite way to fish. But I can see him making a comeback after a good tournament this week.
Well, I mean, I haven't thrown one in a decade, and I actually own a couple now.
Yeah, I do throw them at night. Big nighttime spinnerbait fan during the summer. But other than that, it's never been my favorite way to fish. I like throwing the frog a lot more, this time of year like these guys did. Another thing that came out of the Elite Series that we didn't know going into it, the cut line.
Yeah, me and that cut line.
Moving to 49 instead of 50.
That one threw me for a loop, especially if most of y'all know what I do for a living, other than run the tackle store.
And it took us a couple of days to really find out why that was. Now, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I was told that it was because Tyler Carrier, am I saying that right, withdrew for the rest of the season. So one less angler. They moved the cut line. Now, I looked at the payouts, and the payouts are a little bit different now. 50th place is a $5,000 check, and 51st back is $2,500. I would assume that would have been the same the whole year. Traditionally, you've had $10,000 down to 50th place. Yep. And then the past couple of years, we've seen bass increase their payouts past that to where the anglers get their money back through 75th up to $2,500.
But I mean, personally, I think when you're already into you're already into the season.
You're in the season. You're locked in.
It's just one. You might as well, unless it drastically changes where you lose 4 or 5, then cut it to a more logical number, I should say, 45 or 40 or whatever. But 49. Yeah. I mean, you get excited and you see somebody making the 50th. Heck yeah, they get to fish.
Yeah, they get to fish another day.
And then you turn around and find out. No, they didn't. Yeah, so that kind of.
And it costs. I mean, $5,000 is a lot of money to a fisherman.
Yeah,
that's pretty. To all but the very, very top of the pay scale, $5,000 is a lot for an angler not to bring in that week. So not bashing Bassmaster. I'm sure they had their reasons, but just something to be aware of going forward. If your favorite angler is in 50th place, he's going home after Friday.
Yep.
Not going to get a chance to move up, get any more Angler of the Year. And Angler of the Year points is a big deal. I mean, at the Sabine River, 50th place was 14.9, and you go out and catch you 5 pounds the next day, and you move up to 40th place. Yep. 10 places in the Angler of the Year at the end of the year can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
That could be the difference in a guy making a classic, a guy making an AOY championship.
Yes.
Requalifying for the series. So just something we thought was pretty interesting that they kind of, and maybe the anglers knew about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But something that was not made available to the public, or at least I didn't see it anywhere. The two of us are pretty online, so I thought we'd have seen it somewhere. About all I got.
Speaking of Bassmaster, though, the Douglas Lake Open is going on. Right?
Yeah, it is. I saw that earlier. Weights are tight.
Well, that's what I was.
We got a local guy in the top 10.
Cole Sands, 7th place.
Yeah, I actually saw Cole yesterday in McKee Outdoors,
which is our tackle store of the week.
Which is actually our tackle store of the week. McKee Outdoors is located in Maryville. If you're unfamiliar with Tennessee, Maryville is southwest of Knoxville, probably about 20 or 30 minutes.
Yep.
you can say it's a Knoxville region. McKee Outdoors was started in 2012. Matt is the guy that owns the store. He's a friend of mine, friend of Phillips and Michael's. Him and his dad, Randy, run the store. Occasionally you'll see his mom working in there, his wife working in there. They're very involved in local tournaments, high school fishing. All the local teams get help from them, get deals on equipment. He helps promote their tournaments. He runs the East Tennessee Team Trail, or the Tennessee Team Trail.
Yes.
And they fish mainly East Tennessee, Douglas Lake, Norris, Cherokee, Chickamauga, Watts Bar, Fort Loudon, Tellico. So he services all those lakes as far as tackle goes. They have a big booth every year at the East Tennessee Fishing Show. Matt is a good follow on Facebook because he posts as soon as something new comes in.
Yes.
So if you're looking for a hard to find bait, sometimes you can get lucky, see a post, and get it shipped out.
Next year for the East Tennessee show, Matt, Michael, myself, we're going to do a joint.
So we'll all be right there together.
Yeah,
Because I usually do it with him. I know Matt works with y'all.
Do a joint booth because small businesses help each other, especially when you got people like Matt.
And that's a great show. That is kind of a sidebar. If you're in the Knoxville area at the end of January, East Tennessee Fishing Show is one of the best ones I've ever been to. I go to a lot of tackle shows, and that's probably the best. That's one I look forward to the most every year. It's pretty good for everybody. They're located on Highway 411, just southwest of Maryville. If you're in the area, stop in, give them a shout. Like I said, they're great people. They'll do anything they can to help you out. You got a really good selection of tackle.
They really do.
And if you're looking for a boat, he's a satellite dealer for Bunch Marine. He can get you in a new rig, get you a deal on a boat, but any kind of marine stuff. Good place to go in if you're up in that area.
But we also got a couple special guests tonight, as we mentioned earlier. What do you think? One at a time, or bring them both on?
Well, probably don't have a room with me in here.
No, we can do both. Let's bring them in. We got John Cox. I call it the original John Cox because he's probably been on Instagram since it was created before anybody else. To my right, you have said John Cox, and to Michael's left, you have Mike Mueller, Duo Realis Pro, Razor Rods Pro. Well, you can probably read their jerseys.
Yeah,
got plenty. We could sit here all night and name off sponsors if we really wanted to.
Got your patches and badges.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
Glad to be here.
Have y'all ever seen the patches and badges?
No.
That was Ray Scott bit. Ray Scott did that, and my boss can do it the best. He did it at the Bassmaster Classic. A guy got up there, and he didn't have any fish to weigh in. And if you've seen Ray do a weigh-in, you can picture it. He said, "You mean to tell me you got all these patches and badges, and you couldn't catch one fish?" Can you imagine getting up on stage and the MC doing that to you nowadays?
I would be
I'd crawl
upset,
under a rock. But you can see Ray doing it in his bass vest back in the day. But that's the patches and badges joke. Where you want to start?
Well, let's start with Mike Mueller. This man has driven all the way down good old, I don't know, just a short, 16 hours?
16 hours. Coming up from Boston.
Wow.
Yeah, he took, short drive.
Yeah.
Short drive, but he's fishing on the co-angler side of this event. What do you think about Chickamauga so far?
So, this is an event I've been looking forward to for a long time. Never been here. Know the history of this lake. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Hasn't quite showed itself yet. We're still waiting. We got a couple more days.
It showed itself for a couple of guys, though.
A couple of guys, yeah. Not this guy. But we're still catching them. Figured out a way to grind out some fish. Made the day 3 cut. So.
But the fish are there, from what I've heard. They're just being.
Yeah.
So you mean you don't just show up at Chickamauga or Gunnersville and catch 25 pounds?
Well, I figured I'd have 2 10-pounders by now.
Yeah.
At least. Hell, I fished 6 days in a row now. Today was my 6th day on the water, and I've caught 1 4-pounder. It's a year ago when the ABA announced this schedule for where the Ray Scott Championship was going to be. I texted Philip and said, book my reservation to stay here because I'm going to make the championship. and come to Chick because I love this lake in the spring. And man, it's the toughest I've ever seen it. It's definitely the have and have nots. There were only 23. I counted it up over the last 2 days of fishing. Only 23 boaters have been able to catch a limit both days.
And only 10 co-anglers out of 150.
And we had one.
It's only 3 fish limit for us.
Yeah, and we had only one 20-pound sack yesterday out of 145.
Wow.
There was a 10-21 weighed in.
Yeah, that
How
was
many
other
big
fish
fish?
did he have?
just 2.
Then
He
there
had
was
15
an 8.
pounds. So
Yeah.
There was an 8-3.
That's the story of this time of year. When you live on a lake like this, and before I lived here, I lived at Gunnersville. And I would talk to people and say, well, how'd you do today? And you 13, 14 pounds.
Yeah.
What? On Gunnersville?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, hold on, Hammer.
everybody.
It's not quite that easy most of the time.
at the weigh-in yesterday, as the flights were coming in, everybody just idling around. I was asking buddies and stuff how they did, and they all had their head between their knees. Oh, I just had 14, and I told every one of them before I even went and weighed in, it's good. You're good at 14. Trust me, because they were looking at the weights after today. There were a lot of 17 and 18 pound sacks that turned into 6 and 7 pound sacks today.
Yeah.
And that's usually the way it works. You'll
Yeah.
see whoever catches this big bag usually flip-flops the next day.
Yeah.
If it increases, it means they're really on them, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
And I don't think more than 3 or 4. I don't know if any increased great sack or good sack to great sack, but a lot of the guys that didn't catch them yesterday managed to catch them
Well,
today.
like-
Like me,
Yeah.
I had.
Both y'all's weights increased today, so
Yeah.
I guess that means they're going to triple tomorrow. So I mean, hey,
Yeah, absolutely.
let's go big or go home, boys.
The last time I fished an ABA national championship was 2016, I believe, at Hartwell. 4 or 5 years ago was my first race caught championship. And after my weights got better the second day, I didn't change clothes and didn't take a shower for 4 days straight, if you remember that. So,
Yeah.
so I guess
Isn't that happening now?
you're gonna have to clean wash the sheets after I leave because there's no more baths to be had.
I had a guy stay with me when I lived in Gunnersville, I had a guy stay with me it was a Costa Series. And he led day one, caught a monster bag. Out of the back of the boat was a co-angler, and I want to say he had close to 30 pounds.
Right.
He's fishing with Todd Otten and just fishing a flat out behind him. Caught 5 big ones. We had gone to eat the night before the tournament at Winsel's. We had to eat at Winsel's 4 nights in a row.
I bet
was
you didn't eat there for
so
6 months.
Sick of that.
I'm not
and
even.
I like It's a good place to eat.
I'm not
I
even
was sick of
superstitious,
it.
but yeah, we won't be showering today or tonight.
Yeah, but Mike, what's your takeaway so far? I mean, would you come back, load up, and come back down to Chick? Tournament or not? Tournament or not?
After he checked the water level, he would.
Yeah,
If he
Yeah.
checked
and
if they
that's
were filling it instead of dropping it.
I think that's real. There's been a couple of things. The water levels just fluctuating
The
a
weather
lot,
hadn't helped either.
and a couple of fronts have come through and hammered these fish. Plus the pressure of some tournaments. But I definitely come back some tournaments. But I tell you what, the stuff that I thought I'd be doing in preparation to come down here,
Yeah.
I don't
Totally
think
different.
any of it's panned out.
Like that methylate triple
Methylate,
we were
yeah.
talking about.
It's too early for that.
Oh,
right
we
now.
we threw
Not
it.
here.
Yeah.
Not here. Not right now.
I'm not catching them on anything that I expect to be catching them on. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but something that has caught all but one of my keepers is something that I haven't heard anybody doing, and it's working for me. And it's just a lot of people are beating bank, and I'm
The helicopter lure.
a little bit deeper. Yeah.
Something
Roland
else.
Martin, he sent me something.
Something else I would like to touch on in a few while it's on my mind is, I guess this will be one of the first interviews about the upcoming Wright Patman, if you want to talk about it at some point before we get off the show, because this John Cox fishes the National Professional Fishing League, or the league as they call it. Is it the league? Is that what they
The
kind
league
of
is
nickname it?
They're still
Or the
calling it.
national?
Yeah. We just want somebody calling us something. If you're
Well,
talking
I can
about
call you something.
If you're talking about us, it's good. So
We
good.
can call you
Yeah.
something.
I don't know really if I could ever talk about it with you. I mean, I've never been there. I've looked at it on Google Maps or Google Earth and tried to study it, but it's buckbrush and more buckbrush and some standing timber and some more buckbrush.
To my understanding, no pro level.
Yeah, there's never been.
Has
to
been
my
on
knowledge,
lake.
right? Yeah.
So is it? I don't. We looked at it on the first episode, just very briefly. Kind of looked at an avionics breakdown.
Which
didn't look
there's
much
not
around
much.
that.
There's
There
not
wasn't half the
much
lake
showing
like
on
it
avionics.
wasn't mapped.
Oh yeah, there's no houses around it.
And so is this a lake like you have on the Tennessee River where you have fluctuating water levels? It's a dam system, or does it remain pretty consistent? Like Guntersville stays the same level year round.
Yeah, it stays pretty consistent. I don't think it's a power generation.
Right.
So it doesn't. I say it's consistent. It's either up or it's down.
Right.
But it's long, slow movements. It's nothing like it's going to raise a foot and then drop a foot. It's not like here.
Like it's not going to be jumping up and down.
Yeah.
And usually this
it's gonna be stable, either slowly rising or stable, slowly falling. Which you can plan for that.
Yeah.
It's the
Unlike here, where if you're fishing shallow, you could possibly get
stuck while you're fishing. Yeah, that's the problem here.
Oh, I've been in spots here that I worried that I wasn't going to get back out there because the water started coming out, and
I've been scared to put too much water in my live well, just keeping it as low as I could, just because I didn't want extra weight. And I haven't gotten any gas in the last 2 days, so it's just I'm trying to stay as light as possible, just because you don't know what they're going to do to the water during the day.
Yeah. Something that somebody mentioned just a second ago, the number of tournaments held on your lake.
Yeah.
I'm going to get on my soapbox again, just like I did about the life jacket. Quit fussing about tournaments being held on your lake.
I'm glad you used the word fussing first of all, because I was actually going to use what we actually wrote there.
It was a little bit different than what we had on the rundown sheet. Quit fussing about it. And I understand. Believe me, I understand. I live on Chickamauga. I've lived on Guntersville. I know your pain. But let me tell you the flip side of that. If you live somewhere where they don't have tournaments, you're not going to have the tackle stores that you do around here, around Guntersville, Coosa River chain. It's just not going to be there.
Yeah.
Speaking of tackle stores, what you kind of leaned into about your tackle store attendant not necessarily having your best interest at heart. My co-angler today, actually, right. I was at the weigh-in last Saturday when the 33-pound sack was weighed in. And I talked to the guy after he came off stage. Well, my co-angler today tells me a completely different bait and is convinced, and he bought 2 of them because he was told that's the bait that the guy caught the 33-pound sack.
Well, maybe the guy was lying to you.
No, it's changed from what we know that it was.
What did he say it was?
The mag trap.
Well, that's what some of the fish, I don't know about.
The 33-pound sack was not caught on a mag trap.
Oh.
That's what I heard, and I haven't even been up here this week.
So you already heard that too?
Yeah, the mag draft.
No,
well, I mean,
it was not.
That rumor has made, I live about an hour south of here. That rumor is now circulating all the way down to Guntersville.
I was standing in front of the man when he caught it.
It's probably Ryan from Megabass.
Well, somebody asked me what is the hottest selling bait you've had, and I said the past 3 weeks, the dang mag draft.
Well, that might be the truth, but I mean,
the fact that I guess somebody took 33 pounds in mag draft and said,
and
"Hey, let's just make an
that.
epic story out of it." But
or somebody had a case of mag drafts they needed to get rid of.
Well, I know 2 of those 5 fish in that 33-pound bag came off a buzzbait. Whether it was the 8-pounders or the 2, 3, 4-pounders.
His partner in back of the boat had the 2 small ones with a buzzbait, but the 2 8s and the 7 came off of a Chapo.
I don't care what it said. It was 33 pounds. I don't care what they caught them on. I'd like to have seen them.
And I didn't need to know what the bait was because I'm catching them on several baits. I needed to know where that pocket was.
Yeah.
But you pretty much said you threw everything you had tied on this morning, didn't you? And caught something.
Yeah, I put in a keeper. I mean,
throw the Ned rig.
I did not throw the Ned rig.
It's definitely getting better. I mean, I'm seeing the catches go up. And
But y'all said y'all seen some of them get ready to stage, but they're not worried about what you're doing, right? So, and it's that time of year.
Yeah, it's that time.
Yeah.
There's just no stability. I'll hear a lot of people say it's pressure, it's this, and pressure can affect it, blah, blah, blah. No, this lake has been up 4 foot, 3 foot, 2 foot, 6 foot, 5 foot, 4 foot, 3 foot.
And that's just today.
With 25 different degree changes and enough pollen to change the color of the lake 10 times over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had a guy last week in his kayak go out and was chasing carpenter bees with a dang evergreen gizmo that looks like a bee and caught a 7.5
Yeah.
on a bait that looks like a bee.
Yeah.
You got any of
Do
those?
y'all sell these?
I've got one that looks like a mayfly or a what?
Any bait that will catch something over 4 pounds is what I need because I can't catch a big one.
Well, like
I
you said, it's that you got to pull into that
Yeah,
right
exactly.
pocket. And last year I pulled in the right pockets last year. I caught several big fish this time of year last year, but I went to some of my better, traditionally better pockets, and they weren't there. They were out.
I burned 3 tanks of fuel in practice, but it was you have to hit it with the water level at the right time and the right wind direction.
And last year there seemed to be no rhyme or reason
and that's exactly
to
how
where
our
you couldn't
practice
pull
was.
in and say, look at my units and this is
Right.
what I'm looking for. No.
It's definitely hit or miss. It's definitely hit or miss. It's just I fished the same area the first day and the second day. And the first day, everything I was catching was 14 3/4. It was short. And then today, everything I caught was 16 inches. So it's hopefully tomorrow everything's 19, 20 inches, and I'll be good.
Yeah, you'd be good to go. Yeah.
Hey, the guy I was just talking about that caught the 7.5 on the B said he's got 2 for sale, $50 a pop.
Get you a fly tire.
Oh, David Romanis, Murderers Row.
What's up, David?
And I will say this, and granted, ever since last week's episode with Cal Coast and then the fresh shipment of rod mules, they gone.
Oh yeah, I walked in the store. So we had a miscommunication. I walked into the boat dock tonight at about 6 o'clock, and I said, "Well, Philip had texted me and said, well, we're going to eat." I think I'll just wait, sit there. Finally, Connor walks over and says, "Was Philip coming back?" I don't know. I thought they were going to eat. So he said, "He's been gone for a couple hours." No, I was in the wrong location.
We are live. But if you actually pay attention in the background here over your shoulder, we actually do have Lake Chickamauga with the Fish Lake Chickamauga boat of Buddy Gross. So, so technically,
Noted owner Hooks Pro.
noted owner Hooks Pro. Yeah.
That blue hat's seen a lot of fish coming to the boat.
And you got John Cox here, who's an OG with 2K Jigs, and they're celebrating their
10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary. And you got Mike the Hammer Mueller over here, who is an OG Duo Realis Pro from way back, the original days.
A few years ago. We go back a couple years.
He's really old. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's the oldest one in the house.
I've been the oldest one in the house for
all week.
all week.
long.
And
No matter who comes in.
Oddly enough, we've known each other for quite some time,
Yeah.
but took several years to actually meet.
We don't get to hang out.
No, and
This is the first time we've met, isn't it?
Oh, and you live 16 hours away.
I know.
this guy, let me just tell you a little backstory on
Uh-oh.
Mueller real quick
What
here.
did I do?
Mueller has lived in like Maine, and dang near Canada, and Boston, and Missouri, and
Kentucky, Virginia, Illinois.
Now he's about to move to Philadelphia.
Well, when you're from anywhere south of Pennsylvania, anything New York and up, that's
Here's
Canada.
that conversation.
That's Canada.
I did my time in Kentucky and Missouri.
Well, Mike's trying to figure out if he has a little bit of a southern card, just because of the places
I
he
do.
live.
Not Kentucky. Kentucky's not the south.
Oh, John,
We
you
gave
like
him Kentucky. We didn't give him Virginia.
I might would give
He
you
wanted
Missouri
credit for
before I
Virginia.
do.
I told him only West
I
Virginia.
know Kentucky's in the SEC. But no, there's the
I gotta
line
give it
seems
to
to be
Kentucky because they got
Ohio.
some dang good bourbon.
They do.
Yeah.
Ohio seems to be the line. West Virginia's a little bit because I travel those states for work.
Ohio
West
is
Virginia,
north or south of the line.
north.
Oh yeah.
So Paul Benson's a Yankee too.
Ohio.
Oh, cool.
Paul Benson is Paul Benson's a Georgia Yankee.
One more thing we can mess with Paul Benson
Yeah,
about.
he's a Georgia Yankee for sure.
I knew there was a reason I didn't like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting Monday, I'm in a new job in
New house,
Pennsylvania,
huh?
new house, new everything.
Took you all of 27 seconds to sell your house?
Yeah, it was a pretty decent market. Hey, if you guys got a house to sell, I'd sell it right now.
Yeah, my
And use
brother-
John Cox.
Yeah, if you got a house in Georgia to sell, Cox Realty, or I'm sorry, John Cox Realty with Century 21.
My
Or if
brother
you put
bought
too
a
much
house,
toilet paper in your toilet, John
Yeah,
Cox
Cox
Plumbing.
Plumbing. So either one.
3 days on the market. He put in an offer.
What took him so long?
Oh, he didn't sell. He bought a house.
Oh, okay.
And he found it, and that day put an offer in on it because he told me, he said, if I don't do it today, I won't
Yep.
get it.
Yep.
And I
Same
said,
thing
you're,
we-
you're exactly right.
So my wife will kill me for saying this story, but we actually, the house we bought in Pennsylvania, we got out there on a Saturday morning, and by Sunday at noon, we had bought the house, but they were going so quick, we didn't even see it.
Really?
We just looked at the pictures, drove by it, said, let's put in an offer.
Yeah,
And then the next week we drove up and we actually got to see our new house.
Bass boat's
Wow.
about the same way right now.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
If you want a boat, if you see one that you want to buy,
Yep.
you better be buying it.
And we sold our house the same day. It took about 18 hours to sell our house, and we bought a house in about the same 18-hour window. It's
Wow.
crazy.
Some of the boat groups are getting out of control on here with the bashing for people's price. And look, guys, if you're going to buy a boat right now, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't buy it, there's a guy standing 5 minutes behind you
That'll-
that's ready to buy it too.
for more money. if he
Yeah,
has
for
to.
more money.
It's crazy. I mean, a lot of these factories can't even keep up.
No.
I was reading an article the other day that Bass Tracker had an empty factory at one point last year. An empty factory.
And I've driven by that place in Springfield when I lived down there, and it was just like acres of boats
Empty.
out there.
Could you
years
imagine
ago?
an empty factory
Yeah.
of boats?
Dealers can't get boats. Dana that works at Bucks Island is a friend of mine. I was in there this spring and I said, hey, y'all got some boats? He said, yeah, we're finally getting some boats in now. He said last year at one point we had 2 pontoons on the lot.
Oh, yeah.
And normally they have over 100
Yeah.
at any given time.
Same with the cars right now.
Yeah. It's I guess the stimulus is working. People are getting money somewhere. I wish I could figure out how to get some of it.
It'd be nice.
I'm gonna start fishing bass tournaments.
Yeah.
But when you do, make sure you wear your
You know,
life
that's one
jacket.
thing I get a lot of time, and all the guys come in like, man, you must fish all the time. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever worked in a tackle store?
Yeah.
I get to see fish all the time.
Get
But
to talk fish.
I do enjoy the times I do get to go. Don't get me wrong, but
Well, anything else you got this week? I think we pretty much covered everything. So highlights of the week is wear your life jacket. Don't be an idiot.
yes.
If you can not read the rules better than that,
2 + 2 still equals 4.
yes. Tubes and spinner baits were the big winners this weekend. So dust off your dad's tackle box. Get the Man's Classic out. The Gets It's. Ever thrown a Gets It?
Hey, you were talking about tubes earlier. I was actually out in Jones's Marshall back in 2013 when the Elite Series came to West Point, which is my local lake.
Oh.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Alton made a top 10, either top 10, top 20. It must have been top 10 or top 12, I think, back then.
Yeah,
officially.
top 12.
Yeah, top 12. And I was his marshal on the last day, and he was flipping a tube. And I had never seen somebody flip a tube on West Point. And he was catching them.
I mean, anywhere you're
I've
gonna
got a
flip
West
a
Point
jig.
fish hanging on the wall
Yep.
over there.
Yeah.
It almost made me want to go buy some, but I've yet to buy him. So.
I'll tell you my West Point Lake story. So when I was a kid, my granddad had a fish on the wall that we called Walter.
Mm-hmm.
Walter weighed 10 pounds, and he caught it out of West Point Lake.
Mhm.
And it was in his dining room. Every time we ate over there, we saw it. And I always wanted to catch fish like Walter. Where'd you catch Walter? West Point Lake, Georgia. That's a story we always heard. So I was working for a company that did railroad construction. We were in West Point for the summer, building the railroad to the Kia plant over there.
Mhm.
And one weekend I said, well, I'm going to take my boat down there. We're staying for the week. I'll work the week. Then I'll stay down there for the weekend and fish.
Because that lake's full of Walters.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I caught one fish in 3 days because we had Friday off.
Mm-hmm.
I caught one fish in 3 days. It was about 10 inches long.
Yeah.
So I worked the next week. I go home and I said, I hate that lake. He said, well, you never asked about the rest of the story. I said, what was the rest? He said, well, we had 25 boats over there fishing. We fished for 2 days in the club tournament. And Walter won the whole thing for both days for combined weight. He said, I would have won if you put everybody else's weight together.
Yeah.
I said, okay, so 25 guys caught less than 10 pounds in 2 days. That'd have been useful information before I.
But see,
I've been fishing.
every time I've ever been to West Point, I've had a phenomenal time. That particular tournament with
That's because you like throwing a Ned rig and catching 12-inch
No,
spots.
this was
That's
before.
why you
This
got
was
a
before
phenomenal
anybody
exposure.
ever heard of the Ned rig. I caught all my fish on West Point under Yellow Jacket?
Yeah.
Under the bridge going to Yellow Jacket on that riprap on the right, throwing a 5XD in about 4 foot of water.
Right.
Caught every fish. I was weighing in 15 to 19 pounds a day.
And you got lucky and hit a community hole just like Spring Creek Bridge.
Community hole,
at
spring hole.
Gunnersville.
I don't give a crap what kind of hole.
Did you have a vision to go to that spot under the bridge?
You turned around and
Were
came
you
back.
told that you just turned around and came back?
I guarantee you it wasn't a tournament Saturday
But
when you did that.
I
That's
went
a good
there a few
story.
years ago for my birthday in April.
On a
and
Saturday?
No.
Okay.
It was on like
Well,
a
that's-
Tuesday.
that's
But
good.
the only way I could get bit was slinging crankbaits down the absolute side of bridge pylons. Any bridge you could find on West Point, you slung a crankbait down the side of it, you'd catch a fish. Now you literally had to burn it. I probably lost 125 crankbaits that day because they'd explode on the concrete of the bridge pylon trying to make it burn it. But every time I burned it, I'd catch one. And then that classic old Texas rig lizard.
Yeah, that's what I caught my one fish on in my 3 days of fishing was a crankbait. And I thought I was a hero then to catch a 10-inch fish.
Sounds like, we could go to West Point and I could show you boys a thing or two.
Oh, one thing we missed earlier on the Elite Series. So if you follow Bassmaster, you saw this on Facebook. If not, look it up. Jason Christie won. There was a kids fishing tournament
Yes.
that day.
I saw that.
So
that was awesome.
the kid asked Christie to sign his trophy,
Yeah.
and Christie had the kid sign his. So be more like Jason Christie, have a good attitude, and try to be nice to the next generation of the sport.
Yes.
The real Jason Christie, not Crispy. You know, don't be robbing people, but be like Jason Christie.
That boy's name was Jack, I believe, and he could only write out his first name.
Yeah.
Or in our case, be like John Cox or John Cox.
Or John Cox. Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah, there you can't go wrong. But I thought that was a really cool story. I mean, that kid will remember that for the rest of his life. And
Absolutely.
everybody else that sees it will
That
too.
trophy's probably sitting in a glass case where it will spend the rest of its life.
So that's about all we had. Wear your life jacket.
We got a lot coming up next week.
Don't fuss about tournaments being held on your local lake because it's good for everybody in the area. I know it can be
Whether your
inconvenient.
city council says it is or not.
Yeah, whether they say it is or not.
I'm spending a bunch of money here.
If you're in Maryville, go by and see McKee Outdoors. If you're in Dayton, come by and see Philip at the boat dock. And that's about it, guys.
Stay tuned for next week. We got Lake Murray coming up for the pro circuit. We got Bassmasters heading to Fork.
And NPFL.
NPFL,
right,
right.
Pat.
I'm actually leaving here, so I'm fishing tomorrow. Practice starts Sunday at Wright Patman, so I'm leaving Saturday morning. If I make it to the final day, I'm gonna have to be like the other John Cox and actually drive
Drive
straight
all
through
night.
and start right. Except for at least sometimes he does it and skips practice.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be skipping practice, but
Mike, what do you got next?
What I got next, I've got in May, I start the Northern BASS Opens at James River in Virginia.
That's always a good swing. The Northerns are really
Yeah.
popular. You always catch them. Where you go to James River? Where else this year?
James River, Thousand Islands, and Oneida, I believe. And I'm fishing FLW also, so I might get the schedules mixed up. But
Yeah.
we'll be at Thousand Islands, Champlain, and I'm going to
fishing
be
what also?
Thousand Islands, Champlain, Oneida.
What group?
Bass Opens.
No, he said
Oh,
it.
MLF.
Oh,
MLF,
MLFLW, Big
Yeah,
Five.
Big Five.
You
The
got
whole
a
big name.
you got
Yeah.
a big week ahead.
All of it.
Michael?
No, this weekend. What do we have going on this weekend? Not a lot going on this weekend. I'm gearing up to go to Idaho the first week of May to go smallmouth fishing. My uncle actually left yesterday pulling the boat. 4-day trip out. My two cousins will fish with him for the first week. Then he's got a week where him and his friend will fish
What's up,
together.
Brian Taylor?
And then
PT.
we go out me and my brother go out for a week. The guy we go with just caught a 610, personal best smallmouth. Caught a 6.4 earlier, caught a 5.10 the day before that. So big smallmouth are biting.
Sidebar on the smallmouth, our good buddy Harold Driver, co-angler side, no practice, showed up, fishing co-angler, sitting in
Seventh, I think.
with 11 pounds, and one of his fish was a 18-inch smallie. So, side on that one. We got a busy week going around here. We got another tournament coming in next weekend, so we do get a few days off at least.
Surprise, surprise.
But got a little birthday, something I'll try to figure out in between, if I can.
Are you turning 50?
feel like it. Yes, I feel like it. No, that'd be a big 4-0.
Big 4-0. Wow.
So figure out something. Got me a nice little bought myself a birthday present bottle of bourbon over there. Found a golden goose of Colonel E.H. Taylor.
Will that be gone tonight?
No, that's 100 proof, son. But the bottle we all enjoyed the other night is now gone. But other than that, it's gonna be got a lot to plan for next week. You've got a lot of traveling to do. You've got a whole lot of traveling to do.
Yeah.
Whenever the tournament ends for either one of you, hopefully y'all make it all the way to Saturday.
I got to drive 16 hours to get home just to unpack, do laundry, repack, then come 8 hours back to the new job.
Wow.
I'm gonna drive right by it on my way home. I should just throw a bunch of stuff out there.
Yeah, just unload part of it there.
Well, all right, guys. Well, we greatly appreciate y'all being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure having y'all here at the house this week in the store.
And remember, guys, share tonight's episode. We're going to give away American Bankworks gift box to somebody. Tell a friend about the show. And if you want to see something different next week, drop us a comment, shoot us an email, shoot us a message, go by and yell at Philip at the boat dock. That's probably the best way to get what you want.
Yes.
Is to go in there and raise the scene.
Also,
but in all seriousness, if there's something you want to see, let us know.
Yeah, and also follow us on YouTube, Dock Talk, presented by Shot Time Productions. Because every weekend we always upload all the videos in full length due to our history of technical difficulties. But hopefully we've got it all dialed in and bugs worked out now. Third time's the charm. So y'all have a great week. Thanks to John and Mike again. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
See you guys. Thanks.